guys? B-Man here. Welcome to today's video. Today we've got the final builds for Lepic. Okay guys, what I've got for you guys today is I've got 3 different bossing builds for Lepic for different types of styles. Okay, you've got a 16 shots build where you can shoot 16 balls, or you've got another build where you've got the ultimate Lepic build, so you're using the Firearm Masters Transcendent mod build, or we've got another build where you're not using the Transcendent mod but it competes with that and it's exactly the same, if not better than that, but it's not with the Transcendent mod, so it's a build for normal Lepic. So with that said guys, there's 3 different builds here, and in this video I'm going to showcase all 3 of them up against the Executioner, because I think that's the best boss to showcase against, as it's tanky, and all of these bottom 3 you'll be able to see how they perform. Pretty much short story guys, they all perform just the same. It's just the difference in how you want it for your preference. If you want to shoot more balls, the 16 balls one's going to be good for you. You shoot more balls but they don't hit quite as hard, so you do actually have to hit more balls. So it's a trade-off. You want to shoot more but you have to hit more, or you can have a harder hitting but you don't have as many to shoot, so then you merely matters that you don't miss your shots because you need to hit your shots. Or you've just got different types of builds, right guys? So with that said, I hope this helps you out, and this is the end game builds, so I'm actually going to go over how you can make these builds a little bit different for when you're going up against different types of bosses. Okay, so with that said, I'm not 100% finished with my build. I don't have perfect items yet, so I will also explain to you guys the items that you can actually get that will make your build even better than what you see me have in this gameplay. Example, things like the reactor. Now ultimately I want a better reactor that has critical hit damage on it, and I want my reactor to be for this weapon right here. But how this game works is when you come into here and you're farming your perfect reactors, etc, etc, they're on a rotation, and the perfect reactor for my build is not available to access right now, so I cannot go out and get the perfect reactor. I can go out and I can get this reactor, which is a semi-good reactor, but that is not for this type of weapon. Those reactors are for these weapons, right? So this week I cannot finish my build and go and get my perfect reactor yet. I'm on a standstill until that comes back into rotation. So for that reason, I don't have a perfect reactor yet, so mine can do a lot more damage once I build that up. But with that said guys, all 3 of these builds are going to be using the exact same reactors and gear to keep the builds for you guys, to be able to keep the builds identical. The only difference for these 3 builds that you're going to see is the Transcendent is the mods setup, okay? And I will show you guys each time what one I'm running when we do the gameplay. Now also, these people seem to be delusional and think that ultimate Lepic has a higher max MP than normal Lepic. It does not, okay? Ultimate Lepic stats are only a tiny little bit more health pool and a tiny little bit more defense, which for what we're doing and going up against bosses and stuff like that, that is absolutely 100% irrelevant. And in my opinion, Ultimate Lepic you should only get for visual reasons. If you have a normal Lepic, I would not recommend going out and grinding Ultimate Lepic just to try and be more powerful. You won't be any more powerful. This build here is no more powerful than the non-Ultimate Lepic version that you're about to see. So with all of that explained, let's get in and go over this end game build. So we'll start off with this one here, the Ultimate Lepic. Now my Ultimate Lepic build, the reactor we're going for is the one that's ultimately for a weapon that you're running. And ultimately you want it for this one because this one here has a faster stack up of this thing here, which means you shoot balls faster. So if you can get one for this gun, it's ideal. I don't have it at the moment, so I'm having to run this. So for this build, my 16 gun build only shoots out 15 bullets because I have to use this gun. When I use this gun, I shoot 16. So with that said, we have this reactor here. Now we're going for fire skill tick and tech skill bonus on this one, and you're going for damage against Colossus, and you're going for critical hit damage, okay, on this reactor. Now if you're going for the 16 shots build, you will want the skill cost minus on this because that will help you get that 16th shot out and possibly the 17th. I can actually get 17 shots out with my 16 shot build. I'll show you a clip of me doing that at the very end of the video. So we go along, we've got the Slayer set. Only need this set if you've killed the pyro and you're at that point. If you don't have this set, don't worry. This is only going to help you one phase the bosses. You'll still be able to kill bosses and stuff without the set. You just won't do as much damage per hit, obviously. Now, when you've got this, make sure you have this for max MP in yellow for 151. That is a massive thing for being able to shoot your more balls out, because this is practically half of your mana. Without this, you will run out of mana and you'll only shoot half the amount of balls. So with that said, this is the total build here. We're running a gun that is running fire rate up and precision shot on the weapon that we activate our super weapon from. Now, with that said, let's get into our module setup. So the in-game modules that I've gone for this one is, this is not my ideal one. You will see my ideal build on the normal Lepic, okay? This was one where I learned the reason not to build like this, and I'm going to explain. So, on this build, we have these two here. What this is really good for is this build here is consistent to one phase, the bosses, the solo bosses, right? Pyro, Executioner, etc., right? But once you get to the point where you're going into against bosses where there's 4-player bosses, those bosses have such a big health pool that you will not one phase them with this build. And then this build suddenly becomes worse than my other build because of these two here. So you'll see in my other build, I'm not running these two here because of the negative effect of these. These have a massive negative cooldown. So if you do not one phase a boss in the first phase, or if you're going up against into a 4-player boss where it's got a bigger health pool, this is not good, because what happens is you blast all your fireballs and now you can't do anything because you've got such a long cooldown before you're able to shoot out more balls. So the other build that I'm going to show you on my normal Lepic is actually better for those situations because the cooldown is half as long and you can shoot out you can shoot out your balls 2 times in the time this setup can only shoot it once. This is the build for a solo player trying to one phase a boss and a solo boss only, okay? So with that said, let's get into this build. This is the build we're running, and as you see, these two here add heaps of cooldown. That's why they're only good for this build for the solo one phasing, okay? Now with that said, if you want to do this build without, that's built not for solo one phasing, what you can do is you can swap this out. Instead of having it an X catalyzed for X, you want to catalyze it for this line thing, and you want to have Tactician here. You'll get half the skill power modifier. You will not notice the damage difference, but you will won't have the negative cooldown. This one here, instead of having this one here, you'll want to catalyze it to an A1, and you will want to put Focus Fire. Oh, where is it? Fire Specialist in there, okay? You will not notice the difference in the damage, but you will have no big damaging cooldowns, okay? So you put those two into here, and this will make this build so much better. I've just, unfortunately, I had to learn by actually doing these ones, and then after putting these ones in here, I learned that those are not what I want there. So eventually, I will recatalyze these two up to swap them to the other ones to make this build more viable. And here, you have the option to be able to put in health for later on, for going up against the bigger bosses and stuff like that. You can fill this one here up with the health, so you've got a really healthy build here, so you're not dying in the later bosses against the 4-player bosses, okay? So that's how you'll build this build up completely, and this is how this becomes an end game build with health and with everything completed build, okay? Take note, I've got a catalyst in here making this, giving me an extra 5, okay? So that's, I hope I've covered everything I need to on this here and this build, and that's what we're using for the Lepic right here. Let's get on to our normal Lepic. So we come across to our normal Lepic. And as I said, we're in the gameplay, we're using the same items, so we've got the same reactor, same items here and everything, but on our normal Lepic, we have this build here. We have no Transcendent mod, and again, you can swap this one out to be the health, or on this build, you can swap this out to have even more health from the same thing with the duration. But as you'll see, I'm not finished on this build. I would catalyze this to make it cost half as much, and I would catalyze this to make it cost half as much. Then those points I will have to be able to invest into here. I can make this maxed out, so it could either be this one here, which is giving it probably about plus 100% health, or I could swap that out to be a health one, right? So this is still really healthy, and this build here is the one I'm talking about that doesn't have the bad cooldowns. So this one here can fire so much more balls in a whole entire game and do a lot more overall damage to a boss in a 4-player match because we don't have those crazy cooldowns. And you will see in the gameplay, this build here destroys the Executioner faster than the other build does because there is a bit of RNG. If you hit one more crit when you're using this build, this one's going to appear to do more damage. So they're pretty much identical in the amount of damage you do. In the gameplay, I think I hit a couple more crits when I was running this one, but that's the RNG. At a 46% chance to hit crits, I mean, you're hitting so many crits it's not funny, and there is the 1 or 2 crits more that you'll hit in some runs, right? So that's where the variation comes in, is whether or not you hit an extra crit or not, because you got such a high crit rate. So this is the build for this one, and this is the build I would recommend everybody actually go for. This is the build, my best build, and obviously just catalyze this up, and then you can put more into this. And this build here is my most reliable, best build, and it's the build that you'll be able to use later on to go on taking on Swap Walker and all the later on further on, because you're able to actually increase its survivability as well. So with that said, this is this total build, and now let's go on to the 16 shots. This is the 16 shot build. As you will see, we're not giving any cares about skill power modifier. We're actually gone negative here, but as you will see from the gameplay, it doesn't matter because we're taking burn damage away, but we're adding on more balls. So we're shooting more of the big hitting balls, but we're doing a less burn damage and stuff like that. And as you'll see, in overall, it ends up the same amount of damage output, okay, as the other builds. It's just a different type of way of playing. So maybe some people will like this, and you can get in and give it a try, but you do shoot slightly weaker balls, but you have a lot more of them, okay? This is the build here that I can get in, and I can actually get 17 shots out if I'm running this gun here with it, which I don't run in the gameplay, so you won't see me getting 17 shots out in the gameplay. I'm running this gun, so I think I only get 16, but I'll quickly go in and we'll show you me using this gun with this setup, and you'll show you we get 17 shots. So with that said, guys, this is the complete thing here. As you see here, this build here has 453 MP, and we're on a normal Lepic. It's not an ultimate Lepic. You don't need ultimate Lepics for anything other than visual, pretty much, and that's all they're good for, unless you want to toy around with the Transcendent mods from the ultimates, which really don't do much for you. There's not much point to have them. With that said, guys, I hope this helps you out, and if this helps you out, help me out. Smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're not already. Leave me an awesome comment, and keep being awesome. Thank you guys for watching my videos, and I'll catch you in the next one. B-Man, out.
hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.